Very good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Master Strokes by IICA. My name is Arjun Datta and Namaste. You know something, they say that the best investment that you can make on yourself is travel. And our guest today has done exactly that for his entire life. He has traveled the entire world, and pretty much anywhere he's gone, success has followed. So today I'm joined by Chef Ramon Salto, who is joining us live from Ecuador. So please, folks, welcome me for another exciting edition with Chef Ramon. Chef Ramon, how are you?
Namaste, how are you? I'm fantastic. I'm
I'm
fantastic.
doing well, thank you. And so excited to be here. So thrilled to have you with us. I am actually seeing you, I think, almost after 5 years, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. Last time was in the lobby at Le Meridian that we tried few pastries. You remember sitting at the lobby?
I
Yeah.
remember that, and I think that was probably my longest hotel tour I've ever done. It took me, I think it took us an hour, 15 minutes to cover your entire hotel.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it's an amazing property. Huge, massive, very big.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it was. Yes, and now you're in Ecuador. It's been recent, I think, what, about less than a year, am I right?
7 months.
Yeah,
We arrived with the family December 17th, and here we are with all the challenges, but always positive, as you know, always positive.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, you are, and you always have been. And that's what inspires us. So, Chef, I think I can't thank you enough. You've not only have you agreed to do this session, but you've also agreed to let us into your kitchen. I can see you're in a kitchen right now. So, is this your
Yes.
hotel's kitchen?
Well,
One of
I
them.
am the corporate chef and B of a hotel group. This is one of the kitchens. This is
Wow.
the kitchen in Manta, in the resort in Manta, in the Pacific coast. So you
Wow.
might see people around because it's an operational kitchen. You might see people passing
That's
by.
all right. That's all right. As long as they don't mind about a lot of people peeping into their kitchen, we're all right with that.
Of
So,
course, of
so,
course.
so before we jump into the cooking and before we get into the into your recipe today, chef, I want to talk to you a little bit about your background and mostly about your growing up. You grew up in Spain, is that right?
Yes,
Yes.
Spain was born in Barcelona. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think for anyone who knows anything about Spain, the first thing that you think of when you think of Spain is the food. That's one of the first things that you think of. So tell me something. Tell us about your memories growing up in Spain. Tell us about how food was when you were growing up. Has it changed much since then when you last visited?
It has changed completely. Basically, we went when I started in the culinary school in 1993. There was few chefs that they were starting to be popular. Santi Santa Maria, Ferran Adrià. At the time, they had both two Michelin stars, and Spain was recognized as a regional cuisine country. But then suddenly, and moreover, thanks to Ferran Adrià with El Bulli,
Yes.
Spain changed completely, and we went from a regional cuisine country to reigning supreme in the culinary world. I mean, I believe that the
Yes.
best, the most innovative chefs,
Hmm.
they come from Spain. All the molecular cuisine that has had his ages in the beginning of the 2000s was created in Spain, and ever since then we had an amazing generation of chefs.
Yes.
And yeah, I saw the change. I was part of the change somehow. Yes.
Yes. Well, you certainly were. And we're looking at a very transformational chef. I mean, when you look up what Chef Ramon does and what he's done in the past, I'm telling you, folks, you'll be floored. He was inspirational and transformational in how cooking has been done. So I'm sure you can recall a lot of memories that have changed since 93, but all for the better, I'm sure.
Of course. Like I said, well, I started cooking with grandmother and my mother in the kitchen, and then you turn into a professional chef, and I mean, many memories. I can, for example, I was part of the chef that created a product called Mikri that was a hit in Spain. That was back in 1996. There was a neurologist and a chef, Miguel Sanchez Romera. I was part of the team, and it was an amazing experience. Then I did, like I told you, I did many huge events with Gourmet Paradis and joining with different chefs, Ramon Freixa, the Michelin stars. Sergerola to Michelin stars, with Santi Santa Maria. So it was an amazing journey. Really, really, really amazing. Really.
Excellent. Well, great. Well, I know that our viewers are probably super excited to hear more from you, but they're actually quite excited to see what you're cooking as well today. So they already know that you're going to be cooking a quinoto. Now that sounds pretty
Quinoto.
exciting. So
That's right.
you want to go ahead and jump right into that so that our viewers can actually have a look at this amazing dish, how you put it up?
Well, I choose quinoto, number one, because it's a vegetarian dish. And having lived in India for 3 years and a half, I know that you have, I believe, 800 millions of vegetarians in India.
Yes.
I'm not exaggerating. That's the reality.
No, that's probably true.
And I thought that it would be nice to do a vegetarian dish. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also thought I wanted to think out of the box, and I don't want to go with a, regular risotto or just, I wanted to do something different. And I know quinoa is quite popular in India now.
Yes.
So it's basically a risotto that it's based in quinoa. So what I did, I blanched the quinoa for 10 minutes. It's not fully cooked, so I can cook it through the process and develop some flavor. It's not entirely, the process is not entirely like a risotto because it's a different type of grain. It's a different type of ingredient. But it has, at the end, it has some parmesan and some butter to do the mantecatura, the creaminess.
Sure.
So I will carry on and start cooking. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Right.
Sounds good. And folks, for all those of you who are watching, I've already taken the liberty of asking Chef in advance that he'd be happy to share the recipe with me. So if you want the recipe, simply send us an email at corporate@chefiica.com. As soon as we have the recipe from Chef, you'll have it from us. Wonderful.
The first thing I do, I will saute a bit of onion because that will be my base for the quinoto. So I have some onions here. I will saute them in olive oil.
All right.
I will saute the onions in olive oil. And at the same time, I'm going to saute the vegetables that will garnish the risotto on the top. So again, in another pan, I'm putting some olive oil.
Lovely.
And as you see, I have some portobello mushrooms here. I have some white mushrooms. I have some asparagus and 3-color pepper. That will be mixed. Sauteed in olive oil.
What color asparagus was that? Was that the white asparagus?
Those are green asparagus.
Green asparagus. Okay.
This is the bottom that I peeled off. Yeah.
Super.
So now I'm adding here in the onions, I'm adding a little bit of chopped asparagus and chopped mushrooms to develop some flavor. Yeah.
Excellent.
So
are you cooking?
I will share the recipes.
Are you cooking these onions till they sweat, or are you cooking them a little till they're brown? What stage are we cooking the onions till?
I just saute them a bit to develop some flavor. Yeah. A little bit sweating. Some salt. Not much, because afterwards I will cook the quinoa with kombu and shiitake stock. And shiitake and kombu, they have very, very strong flavor. Yeah? Wow. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to saute the white mushrooms.
Okay. So are the mushrooms being sauteed in olive oil as well, Chef, or are we doing them in butter? The mushrooms.
White button mushrooms, yes. I cut them in quarters and then I slice them.
Super.
Yeah.
Tell me something. Is this a dish that's served in your hotel as well?
Yes, we do quinoto. Quinoto is very popular in South America. It's an Andean cereal. So we do many preparations. We also do tabule with quinoto.
Tabule, yes.
It's like for example, we treat it like the same way you treat khichdi in India. No, many variations of khichdi. That's the thing.
I love how you've given us a lovely Indian example. What you're doing.
So now I will add the asparagus.
Yes. All right. So the asparagus goes with the mushrooms.
Vegetables are not overcooked because you want the crunchiness at the end.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll season a bit with pepper again. And what I have here is grilled portobello mushrooms that I sliced.
Wow, beautiful.
And I will add them here at the end.
Okay.
So right now, will go inside with the quinoa that we have cooked for 10 minutes.
Well, obviously we're doing a very interesting dish, and obviously no one can deny that quinoa has gained a lot of popularity over the last few years, as
Yes.
titled as one of the superfoods. So tell me something. What would be a good substitute to quinoa? If you, I mean, not quinoa, but if you wanted to substitute, say, mushrooms with something else, what would you? Portobello is not easily available all the time.
Well, quinoa,
Could
as
you
you
use
say, is
regular
a
mushrooms?
soup. Tell me?
Could you use regular mushrooms as well? Do you reckon?
Yeah. This dish, you can mix it in with any vegetables. In fact, you can use carrots, for instance, any kind of a mushroom, or I don't know, a zucchini, for example. You know, you can mix any kind of vegetable. What is important is that the quinoa, the base has flavor.
Yeah.
So like I said, these vegetables are almost done.
Super.
And I will just mix in the portobellos now. So, I will just stir them in. Mix them a bit. And stop the fire. Because like I said, I want the crunchiness.
On the crunch. Absolutely.
So now we go to develop some flavor in the quinoa. So we'll go with the stock. And I think it will be easier if I go by hand. This is the kombu and mushroom stock.
All right.
Kombu is the seaweed. So that's very flavorful. That's why I didn't season much the quinoa. So what I'm doing now, I'm adding this to develop some flavor in the quinoa. Okay?
Okay.
So what the proportion will be 1 part of quinoa, 1 part of stock.
Okay.
And as you see, it's boiling and it's reducing down. And I'm going to add the capsicums inside. Okay? Because capsicum, again, is very flavorful and will develop flavor. It's important that you use high fire because you don't want to overcook the quinoa. So
Right.
you want the stock to evaporate fast. So it's important to use high fire.
Right.
We're almost done. It's a very quick dish.
That sounds
Like
really
I said.
fun. Yeah. I'm
Very
glad.
quick.
I mean, it is in fact a very easy to follow recipe that you've just shown. That's really nice. Obviously, we are going to be looking at some substitutes because naturally you can't get what was that? What was that stock made out of? The
Kombu seaweed.
Yeah, I
But,
don't think I'm going to
in
get
India-
combo seaweed in INA anytime soon. But anyways, we'll look for a substitute to combo seaweed.
In India, you have many spices that can develop flavor into the food.
Yeah.
For instance, you can use star anise. You can put ginger if you want, or you can do a strong roasted garlic paste. So
Okay.
what is important is that you use a vegetarian stock that has a lot of flavor.
Yes.
You can develop it with the seaweed, with the spices. I prefer seaweed because it gives a nice saltiness to the dish, you know. But in India, you have 1,000 ingredients that you can develop flavor in a vegetarian stock. I mean, I know it for a fact. So we're almost done. What I have now, I have some sour cream
Okay.
with lemon zest. I'm going to put one full spoon of sour cream. And that gives a nice creaminess to the dish. And it changes the color completely as well.
Wow.
So once this cream is completely mixed, it takes a couple of minutes.
So Chef, I have a question. What's the consistency that we're looking at for the risotto? Quinoto,
The
sorry.
consistency is like a risotto. Sorry, Arjun.
Quinoto, no. Yeah, I meant to say quinoto. What's the consistency we're looking for? Is it like a risotto? Is it?
Yes. In fact, the last step is the mantecatura, like the same way you do it with the risotto.
Yeah.
See, when in this stage,
Can you? Yeah, we can't quite see that,
I
but
will put out the fire.
okay.
Fire goes off, and I go in with a bit of butter
Okay.
and with a full spoon of parmesan.
Wow, that's
Then I will stir it in, just the same way as you do the risotto.
all right.
Okay. Just mix it in, and it's almost done. It's a very quick dish, and it's full of flavor. It's very tasty. And for sure, it will be a hit in India because I know the
sure
Indian
it
palate.
will. The biggest trade-off of doing an online demonstration is for the viewers can't experience as much as you're experiencing right now, but we can't smell it, but obviously we can't taste it. But we're going to try this at home. I think this is definitely a good
Absolutely.
weekend recipe
So-
we're going to try.
What I'm going to do now, we're going to plate the dish. And I choose a deep bowl because it's a creamy dish, so all the flavors stays inside. So I'll put the camera a bit down
Oh,
so you
perfect.
can see all the steps. To finish the dish, what I have some cherry tomatoes that are being confit in olive oil. I have some very thin slices of asparagus that are raw, a bit of parmesan, and some chopped coriander
Lovely.
and truffle oil. All right. So I'm going in with the khichdi. The khichdi, sorry. With the quinoto.
I think,
not
viewers, I
confused
think
now.
we can all agree in a consensus that Chef Ramon is definitely missing India. He's got the khichdi taste lingering on.
All right. So you see, it's a nice deep bowl that keeps all the flavors. And then I'll go on top with my mix of asparagus and mushrooms.
Brilliant.
Nearly done. A couple of these beautiful tomatoes that will give a lot of flavor. This olive oil is also full of flavor, so we'll take few drops of olive oil. The asparagus slices, only to give a bit of contrast. Yeah, I'll take 2 or 3. Put them around. It's nice to have something crunchy and cold in the dish. Some coriander, some asparagus, some parmesan, and the last ingredient is the truffle oil.
Yeah.
You know, it's very strong, so only 1 drop is enough.
But I love truffle oil. I can't get enough of truffle oil. Oh,
So this is it.
That looks beautiful, Chef.
Yeah. So
Sure,
what I will do
taste
now, I'll go
good.
to the office. We can continue chatting. So you can see me walking around in the kitchen.
So it's not every day that we get to see a chef's kitchen, and you've given us a quick,
Yeah.
good backdoor entrance to it.
I'm going now through the bakery, as you see,
Wow.
and that's the door to the office.
Wow.
I'll be there, and then we can continue the interview. But I hope you guys enjoy the dish.
Oh, that was really good. I mean, the best part was it was done in maybe less than a dozen steps. And that's what you need. You need something easy and quick. With all the cooking that's going around, the one thing that I think everyone's looking forward to is recipes that aren't all that long. But
Yeah.
super, Chef. Congratulations. That was a beautiful recipe. And
Thank you.
the only thing, as I said earlier, the only thing that we've traded off is that we can't taste it. So I'm gonna leave that tasting bit to you to do.
No problem. As you say, I'll share the recipe, and you can guys give me the feedback later on. See what you
Yes.
think about the dish.
Yes, absolutely. So, Chef, tell me something before we jump into other things. While we're still on the subject of food and this dish particularly, whether it's a quinoto or a risotto, what are the few tips that you would give someone on cooking the perfect quinoto/risotto? What are the things that they should be very, very careful about?
Okay, I'll go first through the risotto, and then we'll go to the quinoto. Risotto has three steps that are very, I will say they're a must to do, basically. The first step is called tostatura, where you basically toast the rice with a base of olive oil and butter. Yeah. And it's important that you choose the right grain of rice. There are 3 different kinds of rice that you can choose. It's actually arborio, bialone nano, and bialone. There are more, but these 3 are the best.
Okay.
It's arborio, bialone nano, and bialone. These 3 are the best types of rice for risotto. You can do it with other rices, but the product will not be as good Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, tostatura, you toast the grain with onion and a
Okay.
base of olive oil and butter until it turns a bit translucent. Yeah.
Okay.
What you do with that, uh, you keep the shape of the grain. It keeps longer because the rice is especially the rice that we use in Europe. It's easier to overcook. Okay. Then after that we go with the cottura. The cottura takes usually 16 to 20 minutes, depends on the grain. And the cottura is where you have to add the stock step by step. Because the risotto, the rice, you need to stir it constantly and you need to add hot stock constantly. So that's the preparation. You keep on adding stock and cooking it.
Okay.
And the last step, it's called mantecatura, which means buttering. Buttering means where you add the fat and all the dairy ingredients, cold butter and parmesan. Some people like to add some cream as well. In the risotto, I don't add cream because I think it's already heavy enough. So and then these are the three steps for the risotto: tostatura, cottura, and mantecatura. And then we go to the quinoto. The quinoto, it's also important that you choose the grain properly. It's the best the best quinoa to use is the black quinoa and the red and the white quinoa, because the red quinoa tends to have more bite. Yeah, so you feel it like raw. So you have to cook the quinoa 10 to 15 minutes in salty water, and then you strain it.
Okay.
And then the steps, as you see, first I saute the grain with a bit of onion and olive oil base, just like the risotto. But since the grain was cooked, I jump into the mantecatura. I put a bit of a stock, so I made sure everything it's properly heated. And then at the end, I add the parmesan. In the quinoto, for instance, I add cream because it doesn't have as much starch as the rice. That's why I add cream. Yeah. But those are the steps to do a proper risotto and a proper quinoto.
Lovely. Good. All right. So moving on from this dish, which obviously has really, really given us a lot of ideas. And I know that a lot of our viewers are going to cook this at home today or over the weekend. Chef, you've traveled so much. I introduced and said that you've traveled the world. Now, tell me something. What is the one tool that you cannot travel without? Let's talk about one thing that you obviously absolutely have to travel with.
Well, I have my set of knives that I bought 20 years ago, and I keep them like, you know, the most important thing in my life is my family. The second most important thing in my life are my knives. So,
I'm glad you got the order right.
yeah, yeah. No, obviously. No, I just wanted to show how important the knives are for me. But
They
obviously, family was.
absolutely are. And I think I can second that. I haven't met a chef till date who hasn't valued his or her knives more than anything. Obviously, after family and self. So lovely. So you've had these knives for 20 years. There's a big
Yeah.
misconception amongst very few people, I'm sure, but it still exists that knives have a life. You've lasted a knife set for 20 years. You must really take good care of them.
Yeah, and they don't look new, obviously. They're 20 years old, but they're in very good shape, actually. They're in pretty good shape.
So
And
it's
and they look actually as good as new. I've been using them for 20 years. What I do, I clean them before I use them. I sharp them after use them and put them in the knife box. And they're in very good shape, actually. I think they can last another 20 years easily.
I hope so. I really hope so. All right.
I bought
So,
them in Japan, by the way.
pardon, you bought them in Japan. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. All right. So, in your career, on not on one, but on many occasions, you've hosted a lot of banquets. When I was reading up on your background, I read that you've hosted a banquet as big as 18,000 people.
That's
Now,
correct.
it wasn't in India. One would have guessed it was in India with those kind of weddings, but it was somewhere else. It was in the Middle East. Is that right?
No, it was in Barcelona.
In Barcelona.
In Barcelona, when I worked with a contract catering company called Gourmet Paradis, that we did all the big events basically in I would say in Spain, but more in Barcelona, and that was a gathering for all the Microsoft Word employees in Europe.
Wow. So
It was
18,000 is obviously a big number. The number of people that work with you, of course, is obviously equally proportionately big. Tell me something now. everyone wants to know, particularly all of our students as well. In your view, do you ever see the light of day when we can see such gatherings together? I mean, how are things going to change for the banqueting industry moving forward?
Well, obviously, the whole protocol for banqueting has changed. This social distancing has made social gatherings completely different. Um, what we are planning to do, obviously, I don't think they are entirely, I would not say legal because it's not about being legal or illegal. The protocols are not entirely set around the world, but what we take really good care is on the arrival, how we check the protocol of arrival, how we do all the biosecurity steps, from temperature control, making sure that everybody that gets into the conference is healthy. And what I mean healthy is it doesn't have anything that can provoke any kind of, I don't want to say the word because nowadays
Yeah.
it's
No, no, we're not
used
using
constantly.
you're not
So
using that word.
I don't want to use these words because I think we have to stay away of that. But you have to keep your biosecurity steps on arrival, and obviously uh, I talk through experience here in Ecuador. We don't do bigger than 50 attendees, and we had halls in our hotels that could accommodate 2,000 people, but as of now we can only do events for 50 attendees, and it's more in corporate side. For the social gatherings, I think these huge Indian weddings and these huge events that I used to do when I was in India and when I was in Barcelona, until we don't have a solution for the problem that we have around the world, I think things will not go to a new normality for some time. When it's a fact, we have to face it, and all the hoteliers, we are trying to find solutions to that. What we are offering, for example, is we have converted all our menus in sort of bento boxes. So when you come into your conference, rather than going to a buffet, you will get a box, individual box. Either rather if it's a morning coffee break or an afternoon or dinner, you will get a one-time solution, a bento box with all the ingredients, and then the drinks station. It's actually self-service as well, but all the tableware and all the glassware is being sterilized. So this is the direction we go. It's very personalized, very individual, and like one-time solution for everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was just sharing with my colleagues the other day, and I was telling them that the days when you were here in India, we saw you do banquets like never before. We have such fond memories of that. But I'm sure, Chef, with your leadership and your involvement over there as well, you'll make such a simple idea as creative as ever as well. I'm sure of that. I'm very, very confident of that.
That's
Um,
what we try to do. Yeah.
yes. Now, my next question is, having worked in almost all the major countries in the world, tell me something. Can you possibly pick up one trend that you've seen consistently across the board? What is the one attribute in food or in service of food that you see between, say, Japan, then India, then Middle East, and then, of course, now Ecuador, and then, of course, your stint in Europe? Is there any one thing that stands common amongst all countries? As a chef, what do you observe?
I can tell you that through my entire career. I mean, this is my 26th year as a chef, and the trend that I experienced since I started until now is that the eating habits are becoming healthier and healthier. You know, everybody's more health conscious. You see the number of vegetarians and vegans growing because it's a healthier way of eating. It's a healthier way of life. And I remember when I started, for instance, in Europe, to have one vegan, one vegetarian was something really exceptional. It was like, wow, this guy is vegan. What's wrong with him? Yeah, that's what it was. But we realized that the lifestyle of a vegan or of a vegetarian is a lot healthier than others, and I can see the trend going all over the world, including in my country in Spain, including in South America, and I think it's great because developing cuisines that are up to these lifestyles is very exciting as well. So and I learned a lot when I was in India. India for me was an eye opener when it comes to this type of lifestyle because you can cook endless dishes, and you can have endless combinations with vegetarian and vegan food. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're right. I think I couldn't agree more. Plant-based eating is becoming extremely popular. So tell me
Yeah.
something. If I'm a diner and I go out, besides choosing a plant-based meal, is there anything else that you recommend? I mean, let's say I want to go out and choose a healthy option. What should I be really looking for in a menu? Should I be, obviously, plant-based is one thing. Is there anything else that you recommend that I pay close attention to?
Well, I will say you have to go always for organic ingredients because you know that what you're putting inside your body is something that has been it's an ingredient that has been treated with care and with love, and you eat something that is nutritious and is good for your health. So as much as possible, I will say that you have to go for organic ingredients. Yeah.
I think knowing the source of your ingredient is very, very crucial. And chef, I think would you agree with me that to everyone that ever eats out or orders in, the description of the dishes play a big role. I mean, that really gives away whether the ingredient is organic, whether it's been cooked in a manner that is considered healthy and apt for one's diet. So reading the description labels is very, very crucial.
Absolutely, and also the traceability of the ingredients, where they come from, including the country, to the last detail. It's very important nowadays because there's a lot of transgenic ingredients that are very bad for your health and for your body, and we really have to be very conscious on what you put inside of our bodies. Especially with what is coming up in the world, you have to be very, very, very conscious, very conscious.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to take you back to your memories in India. You spent what 3 years over here. You were awarded the best chef of the year 2 years in a row. Tell me something. What is the one memory, one part of Indian culture or cuisine that you remember the most, and possibly you'd love to carry that memory with you as you move on?
Well, I cannot choose only one. India was a blast in my
All
life.
right, two,
Honestly, it
two
was.
then. Two. You can choose two
Okay.
then.
No, as you know, I always tell you, India for me was probably the most. I mean, it was a blast. My professional life changed completely. I mean, I met friends for life, like you, many people. India is an amazing country. I I have great memories, but especially the number one I will say was the conference that we did for Yes Bank. There was back in the Lila Gurgaon. There is these grounds in the back, so we had
Yes.
to build these huge tents, no, because they're supposed to be 3,000 people. Okay, so 3,000 people is a lot of people, right? So, all right, so we go for 3,000 people, and 2 hours before the event, the director of sales and marketing, great friend of mine, Vipul Kamboj, calls me and says, Ramon, we have a problem. There are not 3,000, there are 5,000.
Oh my God.
So it was like, oh my God. So it was like, it was a rush. Everybody was running, but we did it. We did it well. But it was quite a stressful moment and a great memory. Now we look at it as a fun fact, but at the time was quite stressful. But it was great. We managed it well. We could obviously the kitchens of Lila Gurgaon were 500 meters away, so we could manage somehow. But it was quite an impact. It was quite an impact. And then I remember this wedding. That we recreated. I don't remember the movie because I'm not into Bollywood movies.
Okay.
But we recreated an entire Bollywood movie in the pool of the Lila with the actors. So they got the actors as well
Really?
because and
Wow.
and, uh, and we had to do the same setup. They danced the same moves, and it was like wow. I was blown away. I was like wow, that's taking a wedding to the next level, you know.
Yes.
So, but like that, I have thousands of memories. India is an amazing country, and I loved being in India for a little bit more than 3 years. It was an amazing experience. Yeah.
I think we can share a lot of those memories with you. I know for a fact that our students had a blast, both when you came to the institute and when they were training under you. I mean, there's not a student I don't remember coming back and saying, so what you've given me is the gift of life. I said, what did I do? They said, well, you introduced us to Chef Ramon and Chef Pablo. They changed how we see food. They changed how we approach food. So you were great mentors as well. And I remember you came to the institute. As I was sharing with you the other day, you inaugurated our culinary theater. So thanks for that. That was a great.
Uh, I'm a Hall of Famer. I
You
have
are,
the
you are. You're
Hall of
in our
Famer.
video as well. All right. So one dish. Let's talk about one dish that you probably miss from Indian food. Is there any one dish that you remember eating and you haven't got that back yet?
Dish, I would say that the all what involves the tandoor. The tandoor is magical for me.
Yeah.
The flavors that tandoor gives, it's it takes a simple piece of lamb or simple vegetable to the next level. You know, I tried to recreate it when I was in Dubai, but it wasn't the same, obviously. And in Ecuador, it's practically impossible. I really miss having a good tandoor dish. Can say chicken tikka cooking the tandoor, or just a lamb cutlet, or anything that is cooking the tandoor. I really enjoyed it. And the biryanis. The biryanis in India are wow,
Yeah.
amazing. They're really
Well,
amazing. This
lucky for you, you were in a hotel that served almost virtually everything. You had one of the best coffee shops in the town. Everything was on display, and the food was phenomenal. Of course, no
Thank
doubt.
you,
So,
thank you.
Chef, we're gonna get into last few questions, and these ones are specifically aimed at our aspiring chefs as well. When you're hiring someone, when you're hiring a chef, and what are you looking for? As students graduate every year, they ask us, what is the one thing that we should probably showcase to an interviewer? And who better to do it to an executive chef or a corporate chef like yourself? So tell us one thing
Sure.
that you're looking for.
I look for a person that is passionate about what she or he does. I look for passion. That's the first ingredient that I look for, and then I look for a positive attitude. We have discussed that many times, that I don't like people that are very self-centered. I like people that I mean, every somehow everybody has a bit of ego, no? I mean, it's great to have ego. It's great to be proud of what you do, but when I try to hire somebody, I try to look for passion. I try to look for somebody that is, ready to share what. And it's not only cooking knowledge; it's knowledge about life as well. Positive attitude. Somebody that I know that will mingle well on the team, that will add, and not only I say, not only adding things about professionally, about personally. Humbleness is very important for me, and being down to earth. Because if you have the right attitude, the rest we can teach. We
Wow.
can teach.
Those are the exact same things I remember. I shared with someone. Someone asked me, what is the one thing that you give to the students of IIC? I said, well, I hope that's one thing, because that's the only thing that I know chefs are hopefully looking for. Because cooking, chef, I think you'll agree, 26 years and on, I'm sure you're still acquiring knowledge. I know the person you are. You're acquiring knowledge all the time. So cooking, I'm sure it doesn't end. You don't stop learning cooking at the institute. You won't even stop 20 years from after the institute. But attitude,
Absolutely,
good.
absolutely. Like for example, I give you an example. I came to Ecuador. I didn't know much about Ecuadorian cuisine, and then you come to Ecuador and you discover that Ecuadorian cuisine has endless possibilities as well. The same way when I arrive in India. The same way when I arrive to Japan. It's just about how you approach life, I guess. You can learn the most significant thing to the people that are more unexpected. I don't know. It's just about it's about the way you approach life, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's very valuable. So now coming towards the end, my last two questions. One chef, I mean, throughout your career and even outside, is there one chef who you'd really like to work with? Any one chef if you could choose to work with?
Only one is difficult, but there are many chefs. I never managed to work with the Roca brothers,
Okay.
and it was something I always followed them, as a guest, and I have all the books, and I think they're very inspirational as well. Gagan seems to be also a very inspiring guy.
Yes. Yes.
Difficult to cope with, I guess, because of his person, but
Uh,
very inspiring as well. I guess these two. I will say Gagan and the Roca brothers are two people that I would like to have, be trained under. Yeah.
Well, that's very modest of you. All right. Any advice to the future chefs of IICA or this industry? Any one advice? I mean, under the circumstances, with your experience, all that put together in a melting pot, what advice would you give everyone?
I mean, it goes together a bit with the question that we just mentioned before, but it's all about, if you're passionate about what you do, just think that everything will get better. Just follow your passion, because this will pass, and then you will continue following your passion. And then be humble always. Have a humble approach in life. It doesn't matter how much money you make, or how many people you met, or how important is your family, or or how many countries you visited. Be humble. Be humble, because humble people goes long way in life. It's, if you want to be good, you can be egoistic, but if you want to be great, you have to be humble.
I couldn't agree more. And with that, Chef, I think you are indeed, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart on behalf of everyone here at IICA, you are in fact one of the most humblest people we've ever met. And we hope that we get to see you very, very soon. More like this and much more until the next time we meet in India or anywhere else in the world. So thank you
I would
so
love
much.
to. I would
Thank you.
love to.
Thank you so much for taking the time out, sharing us your recipe on a kinoto, showing us your kitchen, telling us about what it takes to be a good chef, and most of all, for inspiring us. Thank you
Thank you
so
very much.
much. And for all of
Thank
you,
you.
you have been a great audience today. Thank you so much for watching and following this recipe. I will, as I said before, I will remind you that if you want the recipe, email us at corporate@chefiica.com and we will send you the recipe as soon as we have it. So, Chef, a quick reminder, if you could send us the recipe, we'll send it to all of our viewers. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks a lot. Stay safe. And I hope that you get many more such opportunities to travel the world and hopefully stay in touch with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chef. Have a lovely day
Thank you.
ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.